You're listening to the J.D. Rucker Show. Let's begin. I've got to make that a bit smoother. You know, initially, for those who don't know, my show, which has in the past been pre-recorded, we would have to we'd have to do the recordings, and then I would launch the intro, and the music would just keep playing and fade out over like 2 minutes. So I've got to redo that because now that we're doing it live, it's doesn't make any sense to have the music sort of fade and then it's in the middle of the music, then it's just cuts to me, unless you've got a clear delineation. Good evening or good morning, depending upon where you are in the world. Thank you for listening to the J.D. Rucker Show. Got some really good feedback over the weekend and even today about topics, about things that we should be doing to improve the show. I would say most of the people at least reaching out are telling me good things about the show, which is, you tend to, when you're a host, you tend to try to take advantage of and listen to the good stuff. It lifts you up, right? It's like, oh, okay, so people are listening, people are noticing, people are paying attention. But I'm one who, and my wife says it's because I have a big ego, but because of my ego, I don't get fazed by negative comments. I had a guy over the weekend who took really great offense to the fact that I had changed a headline. Okay, it didn't change by much. I changed a headline though on one of the stories that we posted from the Post Millennial, where and this is over the weekend, or I think it might have been even Friday, where a supposed migrant shelter, was being shut down because there just weren't any new migrants crossing the border. And I did the offensive thing of listing it, changing the headline, and adding in the words "super sanctuary" in quotes, "super sanctuary, San Diego." And he's like, the story didn't even mention the word super sanctuary, and San Diego is the what did he say, the not diametric opposite, but he said the antithesis. There we go, the antithesis of a sanctuary, super sanctuary. And it's like, so, and I didn't get mad. I didn't get into an argument with him. I just sent him a link to the story from December of 2024 showing that San Diego had voted to become a quote-unquote super sanctuary, and that they had invested quite a bit of money into making sure that they were going well above and beyond the sanctuary status of California. That's how I handle trolls. Just give them the facts. You don't have to take it personal, all right? You don't. We get trolls in the chat sometimes on my show, and it happens. There's going to be people, especially. Here's the thing, and I know there's been very different variations of this statement, but if there weren't people sending me negative feedback, if there weren't people trolling, then I'm not doing a good job. Because no matter what, if you're going to talk about the stories that I talk about, if you're going to take on these topics that can be very polarizing, if you're going to say things that could make people mad, if they're not getting mad, either nobody's listening or nobody cares. And that's not what you want to think is happening as a show host. I did get some feedback, and it's funny. Now I'm all super conscious about it. You guys tell me in the chat or whatever. I'm now conscious of the fact that I should wear makeup. And they weren't trying to troll. Okay, this was actual legitimate feedback. It's like your lighting is off, and as a result, your face is shiny, and you just can't do that on television. And now it's like I'm looking at the video. It's like, holy crap, my face is so shiny. I need to get like some makeup or something. Now here's the reality. I'm almost certainly never going to wear makeup, even studio makeup, unless I'm going on like some channel that'll, no. I'm good. Y'all are going to have to deal with the shine on the face. It's a clean shine, okay? I take a very long shower before every episode. I wash and I scrub, and it's great. I brush my teeth. I go into these episodes with the mindset of this is my job. And if I were walking into the office back in my days of working in corporate media, or not corporate media, no, I never went. Well, I used to, I guess, way back when, but working in corporate America, walking into the office, what would I look like? How would I dress? You know, the only difference, seriously, the only difference right now between doing this show and how I would dress walking into the office at any of my past corporate America jobs is that I'm currently not wearing shoes. That's it. No need to wear shoes in my studio. Okay, but yeah, I mean, put on clean clothes, feel professional. So so yeah, there is that. Got a huge show today. I mean, huge. So much going on. Um, for those who missed yesterday's special broadcast, we had a special broadcast of the JD Rucker Show live broadcast where I was going over basically the back end, yeah, the ins and outs of operating the Liberty Daily. I had noted during that show that in the past, whenever I've done sort of these behind the scenes or whatever you want to pull back the covers of how we run the Liberty Daily, because it's a topic that people ask me about literally every single day. In that episode in yesterday's show, I had noted that normally when I do this, when I go behind the scenes of the Liberty Daily, it's because I'm behind. It's because I got to keep working. My shift is from 5 p.m. Pacific all the way through until the next morning, every day. That's 365 days a year, 366 on leap years. And on the weekends, I do it in the morning as well. So it's just a constant straight through. And people ask, I don't get the question often, but I've had people say, hey, yeah, you should hire people, get some help. The challenge there is that as much as I'd love to say, oh, it's easy work, it's not. It's not challenging. It's like, oh my gosh, that takes so much effort or so much intelligence or analysis. It's not about that. It's about having a certain discernment regarding two things. Number one, what do the people need to see? And number two, what do they want to see? And it's in that order, by the way. I got to be clear about that because I know a lot of the news aggregators out there, and I think Drudge before he went crazy, I think Drudge Report fell into the category of give the people what they want, and then also occasionally give them what they need. We take it from the opposite perspective, and maybe that's why we don't have 100 million unique visitors every month, because I don't sit there and look for every story about James Woods. Which, if you were watching yesterday's show, you know why that's funny. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you just in case you missed yesterday's show. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but James Woods as a topic is a click magnet over at thelibertydaily.com. Doesn't matter what the story is. If it's a story about James Woods, it will get more clicks than stories about, we tried it with other conservatives in Hollywood. We've done the occasional story about like Clint Eastwood or Rob Schneider. Those do okay. Christy Swanson, Dean Cain, Neil McDonough. We've done plenty of stories about other conservatives in Hollywood. For whatever reason, James Woods is just a click magnet. It will be amongst the top 5 stories of the day every time if James Woods goes out and walks his dog. Okay, and I don't even know if he has a dog, but that's the James Woods effect. Yeah, and that's when I say, give the people what they want, that's what I mean. I could just do stories like that all day, and we'd probably rise at least a little bit in popularity. But the intention here is not just to build up a site. I get paid a flat fee every month, okay? And almost all of the money that I make, when I say almost all, it's like literally 99% of the money that I get paid to operate, to be editor-in-chief over at thelibertydaily.com goes straight to my employees. Almost 100% of it goes straight to the employees because they're expensive. So, yeah. So I don't actually get paid directly by them. I mean, I do, but again, I don't see a penny of it. Speaking of not seeing a penny of it, what about what's happening with DOGE? That's going to be the primary story today. Elon Musk and his team uncovered possible fraud. I mean, when you're talking about all of this money, we're talking about, what is it, like $4.7 trillion with a T? Yeah, $4.7 trillion that's gone missing, went into the government bureaucratic black hole. When you're talking about that level of money, there's going to be mistakes, okay? There's going to be non-corruption. In other words, there's going to be just, oh, that's not bad, it's just got mislabeled or whatever. There's going to be just total straight up waste. Okay, for sure. There's going to be things that, wow, I cannot believe we've been paying all of this money. It's sort of like uncovering where was it? I forgot the company, but I remember I looked back and I noted, holy crap, we've been paying this subscription for like 4 years of something that we haven't ever used, and it's like $8 a month or something like that. What is going on? How did that slip through the cracks? There's going to be examples of that, just multiplied into the millions and billions, unfortunately, amongst the 4.7 trillion that has been uncovered. But the part that, of course, interests me, and I'm certain it interests you all the most, is how much of that money, what percentage of that money is being stolen? What percentage of that money are there human beings, or maybe even AI at this point, but there are human beings in government or outside of government who are saying, hey, we found a way to make the government pay us X amount of dollars every month, every year, one time, I don't care. But they're paying us this money, and this money, we didn't do anything to earn it. We don't deserve this money, and they know it, but we're stealing it from the American people. What percentage of the 4.7 trillion is that? And then, of course, the follow-up questions. How do we stop it? That's important. We got to stop the bleeding. How do we get any of that money back? That's the second question. And the third question, which is the fun question, how do we hold people accountable? Anybody who's stolen from anybody else, but in this case, stolen from the American people, the American taxpayers, anyone who's stolen from them willfully needs to be held accountable. And people will say, do you really think it's going to happen? In any other world, any other time, I would say no. They're gone, okay? Poof, they vanished. But this is a different world. Elon Musk is he is a bureaucrat, technically speaking. He's a different bureaucrat. President Trump is a different president. And we live in a very different time than the one that we lived in a year ago. We live in a very different time than the one we lived in 5 years ago, even in President Trump's first term. Things seem to be heading in a certain direction for both sides of the political aisle. Okay, they are galvanizing, they being the left. They have found their calling. And their calling is not just to orange man bad, it's now billionaire bad. They're going after Elon Musk hard, and they're doing things. This is starting to rapidly unite the left. And the sad part for them, and for us technically, is that it's all based around lies. I mean, all of it. They are just beside themselves, irate. They are furious, more furious than they've ever been over what DOGE is doing, what Elon Musk is doing, what the Trump administration is doing. They are just going crazy. And they're doing this based upon the lies. They're being told by mostly Democrats, but also, I think, behind the scenes, at least some Republicans. The uniparty swamp is telling these people that Elon Musk is getting into your privacy and uncovering, your bank secrets, your social security numbers, your this, your that. What they're being lied to, because Elon Musk isn't going after them. He's not going after you. He's not going after me. He's going after the people, the politicians and the bureaucrats, the lifetime political animals, the swamp. He's going after those people that are out there rallying the other people to get mad. He's looking not at Chuck Schumer's fans, whatever fans. He's not looking at Chuck Schumer voters and digging into their bank secrets. He's digging into Chuck Schumer's bank secrets. He's not looking at your company and trying to figure out how much you're paying your people and what you need to do better. He's looking at USAID. He's looking at the IRS, the Pentagon. He's looking at various places, in this case, Treasury. He's looking for inefficiencies, waste, and theft within government and committed by government personnel, government people, politicians, and bureaucrats. He's not coming after these people that are out there currently in the process of protesting. They've been lied to. They've been manipulated. Many of them have been paid to do this. Okay? We were wondering where was the George Soros style, or the George Soros funded George Floyd style protests after the election or during inauguration. Where were they? Now we know where they were. They were waiting for the proper moment. And that proper moment is apparently now, because you are seeing them really start to organize, get aggressive, and try to spread these lies based upon other lies. They're being lied to, and then they're lying to everybody they can reach. It's just the spreading of lies about what DOGE is doing, what their intentions are. The funniest one, the same people you say, oh, President Trump is just getting into the White House to get rich. Now they're saying, oh, Elon Musk is just getting into DOGE to get rich. Elon Musk is rich. Elon Musk is the richest man alive. If you were to look relative to history, he's probably one of, if not the richest man to ever live. You can look at Solomon, you could look at Rockefellers, you could look at Rothschilds, you could look throughout history. There have been other people who may have been richer than Elon Musk relative to the economies at the time, but it's still possible. He might still, maybe not. Maybe he really is the richest man ever. Point being is that he's not, absolutely positively not doing DOGE so he can make more money. And very, very little has been said about the $400 million contract? I think it was. $400 million contract that was canceled as a result of DOGE. Okay, that contract was with Tesla. And you had, we covered it before, but just for a recap for those who missed it, you had Rachel Maddow out there saying, it's insanely corrupt that Elon Musk Tesla just got a $400 million contract from the government, and this is corruption. And then the next day she's like, well, as it turns out, the contract was actually put forth by the Biden-Harris regime. She didn't say it like that, and she didn't even say it. It's funny. Her quote unquote apology or admission was still an attack on Musk. She somehow was able to word it in a way that he's still corrupt, even though he got it from Biden. She, for legal purposes, she said Elon Musk, as we covered yesterday, has got a $400 million contract for Tesla. This was came in December when Biden was president, and it's the most corrupt thing ever. It's like she mentioned it for, I guess, legal purposes, so she doesn't get sued, that it was during the Biden regime, even though the day before she had very strongly implied that this was absolute corruption and that it was Elon Musk who prompted the government from the inside. He wasn't inside the government when Biden was president. So her inconvenient facts are inconvenient just for her. She's just trying to cover them up. But with that said, then DOGE and President Trump and Elon Musk decided, hey, we don't need armored cyber trucks or whatever it was the contract was for. So let's just cancel the contract. You didn't see Elon Musk sitting there thinking, oh, okay, well, I guess I lost a lot of money. He doesn't care. That's not his purpose. It really isn't. He doesn't care about the money. Not because he's being altruistic. Okay, I want to be clear about that. His motives, he may have motives for power, for fame, for history, for whatever. Okay, he might have motives that are self-serving. I'm not saying that Elon Musk is a saint. As a matter of fact, there's still a percentage chance in the back of my mind that all of this is a show and that he's really just a globalist elite shill or shill for the globalist elite cabal, or maybe one of the upper ups, the upper management within the globalist elite cabal, and this is just his way of getting into government and then taking down the United States of America. We'll see. I doubt it. Okay, I'll put it at about 8% chance, maybe less than that, but it's still possible because again, this is somebody who, if you were ever going to insert a billionaire shill into a Republican government, especially a Trump government, then it would be Elon Musk. You couldn't get away with George Soros or Klaus Schwab or Bill Gates or any of those guys. Yeah, they tried to get Zuckerberg in there. That was funny. Tried to get Bezos in there. That was funny. But I mean, yeah, it's possible. With that said, I believe that his motivations are Elon Musk's motivations are he does want to make things better. He does see corruption. He can't sit back and do nothing about it. I've been there, done that, to an extraordinarily smaller scale. But for those who don't know my history, prior to 2017, okay, 2017 is when I got into the quote unquote political arena. Before that, I was sitting back, just cracking out money and cash, working in corporations, had ownership stake in multiple companies. That was my life. Okay. Since then, now, now I struggle. It's like, oh my gosh, here, quick, go buy My Pillow. I gotta make my car payment. Go buy a My Pillow. Use promo code JDR. And I love it. I love it. I don't miss corporate America one bit. So we do have a fantastic show for you today, and I'm going to, let me go back real quick to what I was saying earlier. Yesterday I had noted that it was a show where I was caught up, so we were going to go behind the scenes of the Liberty Daily and really get under the covers. Today's going to be a little bit of the same, at least for part of the show, but not because I was caught up, but because I napped too long. My nap was supposed to end about an hour and a half before it actually ended. And so I am actually a little bit behind. So we are going to be working on the Liberty Daily live while I'm doing the show. But I do have, thankfully, this morning, I was able to put together 3 clips, three stories that will be able to buy me cover. So, I play these clips while they're playing. Some of them are 3, 5, 7, 10 minutes long. And while I'm there, I'm going away. Okay, got to get stories up. Got to check my news feed. Got to see what's going on for the Liberty Daily. So I'll be doing it like that. I'm not going to be doing it, okay, here's what we're going to do today, kids. Nothing like that. But I am going to be having to work as we go. We will, of course, the main story will be this $4.7 trillion in taxpayer money that that has been uncovered by DOGE. Going to do a deep dive, some speculation, and figure it out from there. Should be good. If you are concerned, as I think all of us should be, concerned about what's happening. What are they doing with their money? Are we ever going to get it back? And if not, what does this mean for the government? Is their government going to end up at some point defaulting or imploding or collapsing or anything like that? And if it doesn't, and I'm suggesting that it will. I don't think it will, not in the very near term. I think eventually it will, obviously, because empires collapse. And we are in the greatest empire ever, right? But if you are concerned about what's happening with the U.S. dollar, what's happening with the stock market, what's happening with inflation, with tariffs, whatever, then it may be time to consider looking into alternatives to your standard IRA, 401k, government retirement plans, whatever. However you have your retirement situated. A couple of the options that I've looked at, that I have partnered with sponsors for, surround, on one hand, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, stuff like that, and on the other hand, physical precious metals. I work with these two companies, and they're very easy to find if you are interested in looking at cryptocurrencies as a way to back your retirement, to open up a crypto IRA. Then go to JDR, that's my initials, JDRcrypto.com, JDRcrypto.com. Open up a free account there, and they'll take care of the rest. The Block Trust IRA guys are fantastic. If Instead of crypto, maybe, hey, we'll look into crypto later. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to, it's not just for retirement. They have a fantastic system platform that they use over at Block Trust IRA for you to be able to, if you want to just buy, $1,000 in cash worth of Ethereum or whatever, then visit there anyway, jdrcrypto.com. But if you're looking more towards the physical, the tangible, they're talking about Elon Musk auditing Fort Knox. That would be so amazing and terrifying in a way, because it's like, are we going to find out that Fort Knox is empty? And if it is, what does that mean for America? That would not be good. But we want to know the truth either way. So yeah, I say audit the heck out of it. Take Ron Paul with you. But if you are less interested in the crypto and more interested in the physical precious metals, and you want to put it into a vault that's not Fort Knox, put it into your own depository, then go to jdrgold.com. So jdrcrypto.com for crypto, crazy. jdrgold.com for gold, even crazier. Either way, or both. Take your retirement, split it in half, put some into crypto, some into gold. They can take care of you. So Glenn Beck put out a little statement. Not a statement. It was he was being interviewed. I think it was on Patrick Bet-David. He was being interviewed, and he started discussing nuclear power for artificial intelligence, artificial superintelligence in particular, and that really caught my attention. And so I had to see what he was saying. Glenn Beck calls for nuclear power plants to be built for artificial superintelligence. Now, anybody who's ever watched any of my shows in the last couple of years, you know that I am extraordinarily concerned about artificial intelligence, which will lead to artificial general intelligence this year. And then from there, we're anywhere from 1 to 3 years away from artificial superintelligence, which I believe will be the catalyst for the final stage of the end times in biblical prophecy. But with that said, you've got people like Glenn Beck out there saying, hey, if we're going to do it, here's how we do it. And I agree. I mean, here's the thing. Look, if you think that the biblical end times are going to come as a result of or in conjunction with the rise of artificial superintelligence, awesome. Let's do it. I mean, I know that sounds kind of crazy. It's like, oh, but there's going to be like doom and gloom and death and destruction. Yeah, but we will be. I mean, number one, we can't avoid it. If we are indeed in the end times, then it's going to happen whether we want it or not. I am in favor of pushing forward whatever it takes to get home. And to me, getting home means being with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Being home means the ushering in of the end times. So from that perspective, yeah, I'm all in, okay? I am not wanting to participate directly in the rise of artificial intelligence, but I can understand why people like Glenn Beck are saying what they're saying. They're saying, look, somebody's going to build it. Is it going to be China? Is it going to be Russia? Is it going to be somebody else? Or is it going to be the United States of America? And if it is going to be us, then there's certain things that need to happen in order for that to come true. And one of those things is the building of nuclear power plants to be able to power the massive data farms, really, that are going to be required for AGI and then, of course, ASI. Watch.
We need to build nuclear power plants right now. We need every piece of energy online right now. And we need server farms the size of cities. When you start to see America say, we are building nuclear power plants without really any discussion, we're building them. The amount of energy that ASI is going to take is mind-boggling. You can't run ASI even on the energy that we have right now. You have to have these server farms next to a nuclear power plant, and that power plant is just powering the server farm for ASI. That's going to take about $800 billion. When somebody is serious, which is exactly the number, by the way, that Trump is proposing, when you get serious money of $800 billion for power and server farms, that's when you know we're in the lead.
Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. And I wholeheartedly agree with his sentiment here. From the perspective of it's going to happen with or without us. So we have to do, in my humble opinion, do two things. Number one, if it's going to happen, let's do it here. I do trust the It's going to sound crazy, but I mean, on the scale of who do you trust, I trust the U.S. government way down at the bottom. But right below them, I trust the Russian government or the Chinese government or the North Korean government or the whoever, any other government, Israeli government, Iranian government. I don't trust governments, period. They're all corrupt. Ours happens to be ours, so might as well embrace that. Not embrace it, but might as well. I would rather see us in control of it than somebody else. But number two, I think this is a perfect time to note that everyone needs to get prepared. You need to get as number one, as analog as possible, but most importantly, as independent as possible. Stop being reliant on government as much as humanly possible. Start building reserves for yourself, for your family. Start cooperating and working within your local community with people that you can trust, people that can trust you. Be reliable and be self-reliant. That is the most important thing, I think, going into these end times period. The most important thing, second, of course, to understanding and spreading the gospel, understanding and spreading the truths of the Bible. That is by far the most important thing, and staying in prayer at all times. But second is making sure that if and when the time comes for you to be for government or whoever to start to take control more so than they already have, to become tyrannical, oppressive, to force us into whatever they have planned, being able to say, no, I'm going over here. Stay off my land. That, my friends, to me is the second best thing that you can do. Love Glenn Beck. He's right 90, 91, 92% of the time. And maybe he's always right and I'm wrong 7 or 8% of the time. Who knows? Whatever those percentages are. But I agree with him probably more than almost anybody. Okay. There are certain people I might fall in line with a little bit more. Okay. But especially when it comes to political commentators, I think Glenn Beck and I align very well. Oddly enough, I also align with somebody who's not, at least who has some history with him, and that would be Alex Jones. I have challenges with certain aspects of Alex Jones, but for the most part, he and I are in a violent agreement on most things as well. But there are certain people in politics, especially in conservative ink, if you will, that I just absolutely positively. I mean, I won't go so far as to say that they're controlled opposition like Fox News or others, but sometimes I think they're close, and sometimes I do lean towards, hey, they are getting either paid or bullied or blackmailed or manipulated in some way into spreading a false conservative narrative, and those are the ones that we have to fight the most. Truth Pursuit in the chat says Elon is digging up the truth that the deep state thought they had buried. Oh yeah, for sure. And the most dangerous people are those that seek the truth regardless of the consequences. Right. And Elon Musk, if there's his superpower, one of his superpowers, he's got a few actually. Uh, and we're not going to talk about his kids or the revelation of at least his 13th that we know of. That's tabloid stuff. I'm not going to get into it. I don't talk about people's kids, generally speaking, unless it's truly newsworthy, and that to me is not newsworthy. But anyway, the most dangerous people are those that seek the truth regardless of consequences. One of Elon Musk's superpowers is that he doesn't fear consequences nearly as much as others, and even other billionaires. Okay. But it's not the same type of lack of fear of consequences. In other words, I think that a lot of these people, especially when you get into the Jeff Bezos types, or the various a lot of the people in the royal family, the family of Saud in Saudi Arabia, when you look into for like the Rothschilds, you look into a lot of these super rich people, families. Sometimes they feel that they have no fear because they think that they're above it all. Elon Musk doesn't necessarily think like that. His lack of fear or concern of consequences comes from the fact that he feels like he's got enough money and his needs are fulfilled enough, and he's done enough in his life to where he's okay with he's okay with losing some of it. If losing some of it is what it's going to take for him to accomplish his goals, and one of his goals, of course, is to allow for both the human race as a primary and for the United States of America as a secondary to continue to exist and to hopefully thrive into the future, then that means fixing stuff like this massive amounts of waste. So in that regard, yeah, I think he's there. Again, I have to be clear because people, I always get the hateful comment, not hateful, but the I get rebuked anytime I say, you know what, I don't 100% trust Elon Musk. That sets some people off. It's okay. I trust him. I mostly trust him. Okay. Again, we're talking about 92% trust here. I like him a lot. I think he's a cool guy, the kind of guy I'd want to have a beer with at some point, right? But I'm not going to be naive and put 100% or even 99% trust in him or the idea that he is definitely 100% not one of the bad guys. Here, quick story, because something that, and I've told this story before, so if you've heard it before, just ignore. But just an idea of the type of manipulation that Elon Musk has done over the years. He likes to be in control. He likes to know the answers to any questions before he ever asks them. Okay? And I'm explaining this to you not to rebuke him, because I think that is it a dishonest trait? Yes. Is it possibly a necessary trait for the business that he's in, for his status? Yeah, I think so. Would I take that road personally if I were in his position? No. But then again, chances are pretty much nil that I would ever be in his position. Okay? Not because I'm so hateful of money, but because to get to that elite status, you've got to step on people. You do. It's just, you can't get around that. Donald Trump had to step on people to get to where he is. And I'm not the type of person that steps on others for the sake of financial gain. That's just my thing. But anyway, Elon Musk is okay with that. And here's an example of how he manipulates situations. I think everybody remembers that he was first talking about buying Twitter, and he's talking about how these people are getting censored, and you've got the Babylon Bee getting censored, and this is sort of ridiculous, and what's going on here, and I'm kind of fed up with everything that's happening with Twitter. What should I do? And it was an open question. Of course, you had some that were saying, buy Gab, because Gab was free speech, and a lot of us love Gab. There were some that were saying, start your own, build from scratch. But a majority of them were saying, just buy Twitter. Just buy Twitter. And he's like, okay. I mean, he's literally like acknowledged, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. And like 2 or 3 days later, he's like, it was revealed that he had purchased like 9% of Twitter. It's like, wow, look at this guy. This guy just, he has an idea. He puts it out to the people. The people say, yeah, buy Twitter. He listens to us. See, he went off, he asked the question, and then he went and bought 9% of Twitter. And then, of course, started the process of him eventually buying Twitter all outright. That's the story. That's the narrative that he put out there. The part that doesn't get mentioned is the fact that before that first tweet, before he started talking about censorship and asking people, hey, what do you think I should do? A month before, he'd already filed with the SEC to purchase 9% of Twitter. Again, is it wrong? No, it builds up his allure. I mean, yes, it's wrong from he lied. I mean, he was being disingenuous. Yeah, he knew that if he said, hey, look at all this bad stuff that's happening at Twitter, what should I do? He knew 100% certainty. He knew that everybody was going to say, buy Twitter. And then he's going to be able to come out and, it sounds like a good idea. Look, I'm just a whimsical billionaire who just wants to make things better for the world. I want to go to Mars. I want to give everybody an electric car. I want to, give everybody access to internet, and I want to stick a chip in your brain. Don't mind me. Oh, I hate AI, but I'm going to buy AI. Anyway, point is that that's the type of person that he is. Okay? He doesn't ask the question unless he already has the answer. He knows what the answer is. Another good example, this built up his allure as well, was when he came out there and he said, look, everybody's complaining. If you don't want me to be CEO, now's your chance. I'm going to do this poll. And whatever the poll says, I'm going to do it. Should I step down as CEO of Twitter? That was the question that he posed out there. And he knew that with 100% certainty that the vast majority, not vast majority, that a good chunk of people, a majority of people would reply to that poll calling for him to step down. There were campaigns that were going on. You had radical leftists out there saying, like they were going on Reddit and various places like, we got to get this. We have an opportunity finally to get him out of there and to get a, you know, he's going to step down if we can get enough people to vote. And it was like a huge vote. I think it was the biggest vote in Twitter history, right? And he's like, okay, you know, we're going to do it. And the vote came back exactly like he knew it would, calling for him to step down. So he's like, okay, I will go find me a new CEO. And once I find a new CEO, I'll step down. About a month before he put out that poll question, he had already made an arrangement with the new CEO of Twitter. He'd already, in essence, hired Linda, I forgot her last name, Linda whatever, the CEO of Twitter. He hired her a month before he asked if he should step down as CEO of Twitter. That's business, and that's the type of 4D chess that works not just in business but also in a very public style of business, the public life aspect of business. Now he's living literally the public life. He's with DOGE. Is he going to apply certain principles? Absolutely. Does President Trump know this? You betcha. Does he approve? 100%. This is what he's doing with DOGE. So whether or not, you know, whatever his motives are, I only mildly care. What I really care about is that he gets the job done. And guess what? He's getting the job done. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He's doing what we expected him to do, and at least for me, maybe you guys expected this much. For me, he's doing it at least 2 or 3 times better than I had expected. So I don't 100% trust Elon Musk, but I like him. I greatly appreciate the work that he's currently doing right now, and I support what he says. In Excess 100 says, I deeply sense many of Elon's motivations are driven by the herd of children he's fathering. 13 that we know of. He knows if the USA fails, the rest of the globe follows until the world is no good for anyone. And so when we're talking about motivations, do I think that he wants to save America? 100%. That one I don't doubt his motivations there. It's then what happens after he helps to save America. We'll see where it goes. You know, like I said, I mean, there's going to be consequences to anything. Do I think that if they do go and audit Fort Knox, are they going to find gold there? I think they will. Will it be actual gold? That's the real question. Yeah, there was a scandal years ago, maybe decades ago. I don't remember how long ago it was, but basically somebody had called for their gold to be returned. I think it was China, as a matter of fact, called for their gold to come back, and they got the gold, and they did the test on it. It looked like gold. It weighed like gold. It smelled like gold. It was basically gold plated. It was filled with, like, I think, lead. I mean, if the gold is missing, it's been missing for a long time. And if it's been missing for a long time, there's been enough time for it to be replaced to pass at least visual inspection. So I think they are going to find quote unquote gold there, whether it's real gold or not. But who knows? Either way, let's say that they don't find gold there. Okay, let's say that the suspicions that many of us have that the gold in Fort Knox has been gone for a long time, just as Ron Paul has said, as many have said, that is there really gold there? Is there as much gold as they say it is? Whether it's 10% gone or 90% gone or 100% gone, if some of it's gone, that's bad. And that will reflect very poorly on the United States and the U.S. economy. Even though we're not on the gold standard, it will still have a dramatic effect. So it's like, yeah, let's send in Elon and let's get this fixed. Send in Mike Lee. He's trying to get in there too. Let's send in anybody who's, let's actually find out what's happening at Fort Knox. Do we need that? You betcha. Do we want that? 100%. If they discover that it's gone, then the United States economy will collapse overnight. It will. The U.S. will no longer be trusted. It's already in so many are out there in the process of de-dollarization. This would finalize it. We would collapse under the weight of our national debt, and there would be mass pandemonium, and we would be in under at the very least martial law within 3 days, and there's nothing that President Trump or anybody else could do about it. So I just want to. The only reason I'm throwing that out there is not for fear mongering. It's not to suggest, hey, don't audit Fort Knox. No, definitely audit Fort Knox. Audit everything. I want to know the truth. But let's not delude ourselves into thinking that there won't be consequences of the truth. Truth Pursuit agrees that we sometimes worry less about the world we live in and more about our children's world. Absolutely. One of the reasons that I'm out here in California is for that. I don't go into too many personal details, but I can assure you that a parent's love does drive us, especially for somebody like Elon Musk, who I think he's gotten to that point to where he feels like he's got enough. He doesn't need more gadgets. He doesn't need more cash. He doesn't need more homes. He doesn't need more anything. He's got everything that he could have ever possibly wanted. He could buy anything else that he could ever possibly want. No, he's looking at it from the perspective of giving his children a world where they can thrive as much as he has, if not more. And what he sees instead is that we are heading towards oblivion as a nation and as a planet, and he wants to fix that. So, I'm still at only 92% trust of Elon Musk for the reason that he's doing everything that somebody would do if they were super, super, super rich and motivated to make this nation and the world better places. Okay? If that's who he is, then he's doing exactly what we would expect that type of person to do. But if he were a shill for the global elite cabal with the intention of setting up America, getting everything situated for a collapse, then every single thing that we've seen him do for the last 3 or 4 years, nothing would change. Nothing would change. So that's why, because we cannot at this point disprove either thing. We cannot disprove that he's a globalist elite shill any more than we can disprove that he truly is doing this for the betterment of the world today and into the future for his children. Both of those are possibilities. Now, my gut tells me that there's over a 9 in 10 chance that he really is just doing it because he wants to make America and the world better, especially for his kids. Awesome. But don't tell me that it's 100%. Nobody can tell us that, except for Elon Musk. He's the only one that knows for sure whether or not he is sincere or whether or not he is setting us up for a fall. I'm not trying to be careful here. I'm stating how I feel. I just want you all to understand that it's almost certainly correct that he's doing the right things for the right reasons. But don't dismiss the possibility that he's doing these things for the wrong reasons. Former CIA analyst Jim Rickards has built a reputation over the years, over the decades really, of being able to read the writing on the wall and make determinations, make predictions. Some of them are going to be right around the corner, others are going to be further down the road, but either way, he's usually right. It's very uncanny how good he is at this stuff, his latest analysis, which you can find for yourself at jdrucker.com/crisis, jdrucker.com/crisis. His latest analysis surrounds President Trump's tariffs. Now, they have been, in my humble opinion, wildly successful so far. They've been able to make certain things happen that I think a lot of people didn't think were possible. And, of course, they have a dramatic potential revenue-generating effect for the United States of America. But with that said, there are certain risks, certain challenges, and it's not just going to come from China or Canada or Mexico or Colombia or wherever. According to Rickards, he thinks that the biggest threat sits right in the heart of New York City. Crazy stuff. And he thinks that there are things that we need to do as American citizens to prepare because things are already in motion. According to Rickards, this next major event, which will happen, according to his prediction, between now and April 11th, 2025, something that we should pay attention to. So go and check out his latest prediction, jdrucker.com/crisis. See if there's something there for you to gain from and to potentially prepare for, because the world is changing. For us, it seems as if it's changing very much for the better. But there are going to be certain challenges, certain risks. And I think being prepared for those challenges, being prepared for those risks, that's the difference between thriving or just making it by. All right, here in a bit, let's hold off just for a minute on Elon Musk because we got a lot to talk about. We haven't even gotten into the $4.7 trillion in taxpayer money. We're going to get into that, and we're going to not just do a deep dive, but see if we can find other things that maybe aren't getting covered. I've got a few different sources here that are taking this from various angles. The biggest angle, of course, is what are we going to do about it? That's the important question. Yeah, because either way, it's got to stop. Yeah, we can get into the accountability aspect of it, and hopefully they'll do that simultaneously. That's not, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. There's no reason to think that we have to first stop the bleeding, then prevent it from happening again, then go after the people that are responsible, or even the people responsible, important, but also what about the people that are recipients? We ask the question all the time, and Elon Musk himself has asked the question, how does somebody start off with a $2 million net worth, including their home, a $2 million net worth, making $180,000 a year, and after 10 years, they're worth $30 million? How does that happen as a public servant? Those are questions that we need answers to, and I think that we'll find if they're able to dig, if they're not blocked by too many more of these activist judges, which I do believe, by the way, that all of this, every activist judge that's trying to block DOGE or the Trump administration in any way, that they are all going to be shot down at the Supreme Court level, all of them. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but it seems as if everyone that I look at from a layman's perspective, it's like, yeah, that's idiotic. Of course the president can do that. He is the president of the United States. The judiciary does not have control over what he can do in this regard or that regard. There's obviously limitations to what a president can do. This is why we have a legislative and executive and a judicial branch, right? We want to make sure there's checks and balances. But so far, the quote-unquote checks and balances that are being used by these activist judges, none of them, to me, seem to carry any water whatsoever. So I do believe that all of them, if not the vast majority of them, will be corrected once it gets to maybe even at the Supreme Court level. So we'll see. It's just a delay. People say, "Oh my gosh, they're slowing progress." They are slowing progress. But again, a lot of the stuff that the president's doing, these are things that have been problems here in the United States of America for decades. So if we have to wait a few more weeks, even a couple more months, so be it. Not ideal, but it's expected. I mean, they have nothing. They, being the radical left, the uniparty swamp, they got nothing else. They can't attack President Trump from a legislative perspective. They can't impeach him again. They can't. There's a lot of things they can't do right now. We'll see after the 2026 midterm elections, but at least as of right now, there's nothing they can do in that regard. So all they can do is rely on these activist judges and the Soros-paid protesters to try to disrupt things. That's it. That's the extent of their quote-unquote power, at least the majority of, that's not the 100% extent, but that's mostly what they're able to do. So I get it. But I think it will be overturned. In the meantime, we have other things to talk about, and one of those things is the fact that they being leftist voters, Democrat voters, not talking about the the Nancy Pelosi's, the Hakeem Jeffries of the world, talking more about their base. Their base is starting to shift and has been shifting really ever since the election. And I would argue that, at least in the back of their minds, they were shifting even before the election. They're starting to see that their party that they had embraced, oftentimes for their entire lives, was going a bit crazy, maybe a lot crazy. And so they're starting to make that shift, make that jump. Before I get into that, before I play that clip that we had recorded earlier today, I have to ask you, what do I need to do to get you as a viewer, as a listener, to press that thumbs up button, to press the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, or the follow button if you're watching on X or whatever, whether you're on Getter or BitChute or YouTube or Rumble or X or any of the various places where we broadcast. What do I have to do to get you to push the thumbs up button? I'm not going to strip down naked. I know people ask me that all the time. Just, Rucker, take off your jacket, take off your shirt, go topless, and that will make the show, basically turn the show into the Rucker OnlyFans page. But despite all the numerous requests that I've been getting for that, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm just not going to do it. Okay, so stop requesting that, please. I also have to remember that my dry humor, a lot of times people don't realize when I'm joking. I gotta stop telling the jokes that maybe people will think are serious. Nobody's ever asked me to take my jacket and shirt off, at least not for the show. So let me ruin my joke by explaining it. The best way to ruin a joke is to explain the joke, but unfortunately, because apparently my not superpower is to be able to tell jokes with a straight face that aren't funny, and so people question whether or not they were a joke at all. That time was a very failed attempt at joking. So yeah, the jacket stays on. But if you would, please just take a brief moment. It helps out so tremendously, apparently. I don't know anything about these algorithms, but they say, people that have been doing this for longer than me, they say that getting those thumbs up that's how you get to more people. And we want to get to more people. We love the people. We love you. So love us back. Give us that thumbs up. Show us some, what do they say? Smash the thumbs up button and push the subscribe button and bells and whistles and all that good stuff. All right, let's get into these Democrats that are starting to realize that maybe their party's gone a little bit off the deep end. More Democrats want their party to be more moderate. This isn't exactly breaking news, but it is definitely worth covering. We've got this over at justthenews.com via Morgan Sweeney from the Center Square, according to the article. Data from a new Gallup survey suggests that close to half of Democrats want their party to move more toward the middle, while more than 40% of Republicans are happy with their party the way it is. Today, 45% of Democrats and left-leaning independents surveyed indicated they would prefer a more moderate Democrat party, up 11% from 2021, when they were saying, "Oh, go woke, go woke, go woke, go as woke as we can get." And then they got Donald Trump, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, go back to the middle. We went insane." Meanwhile, the number of Republicans who want their party to stay exactly where it is, 43%, has similarly climbed over the same time by 9%. Those wanting a more conservative party declined by 12%. That's the only bad news in this. I would love to have a much more conservative party, but hey, we take what we can get. Populism, all right, that's what we got. Both party groups' preferences have shifted significantly since 2021 at the start of Joe Biden's presidency, the last time Gallup measured opinions on this question, according to senior editor from Gallup, Megan Brennan. This just days after Gallup released another survey showing of the 5 living American presidents, former President Barack Obama is the most liked and former President Joe Biden is the least. 48% of Americans surveyed said, I don't care. That's not. The point is that Democrats are finally starting to realize, after their humiliating defeat in the 2024 elections, they're finally coming to the conclusion that maybe, just maybe, their party has gone off the deep end. And it went off the deep end even before. They were saying what they wanted to do before the 2020 election. It's just for whatever reason people didn't care. They wanted that until they saw the results of it. It's sort of like the whole defund the police thing, right? Oh, everybody on the left was calling to defund the police, except when their crime started going up, and especially when individual lawmakers started seeing their neighborhoods getting affected, their cars getting literally stolen, then it's like, wait a second, maybe we shouldn't defund the police. And then they started going down the road. It was the Republicans that wanted to defund the police. So no, seriously, idiots. It's not just that we're surrounded by idiots. It's that these idiots, they think that we're idiots. Yeah. Sometimes they're not winners. I'll admit. Sometimes the clips that I do, the ones I do during the day, especially, just aren't that interesting. And that one, it needed to be said. It probably just didn't necessarily need to be part of today's show. This next one, though, this is important, and this is one that actually got a lot of feedback on this one over to my Substack, which you can get to by going to jdrucker.substack.com. Lots of feedback on this. Lots of people had their own perspectives, and I like that. I don't want, if I'm not just picking topics that are rah rah. Okay, guys, we're winning, we're owning the libs. That's not my style. I don't even like talking about politics, really. I prefer to talk about the Bible. I mean, I'd love to talk about the Bible. Some of the stories that I want to get into at some point in the future here on the JD Rucker Show, some of them are very eye-opening. One of my favorite topics, things that I like to discuss, especially with my wife, are basically misinterpretations of the Bible, especially if they're long misinterpretations of the Bible. For a long time, just as a quick example, they were talking about how how angels came down, and when I say they were nobody. Very few in the evangelical world, very few pastors were discussing Genesis 6, talking about how angels came down and procreated with human women to create the Nephilim. There was always something, they always had some sort of weird way of getting around that. Nobody wanted to talk about that. Of course, today, I think a lot more people are realizing that no, that's definitely what the Bible says, is that it was angels. It wasn't like the sons of Seth or whatever. I think that's one of the theories. No, the Bible's pretty clear. It was angels that created Nephilim, giants, because they procreated with human women. That's what the Bible says. That's what it meant. Finding things like that, and there's plenty of them out there. Things where our traditional, modern, not even traditional, it's the modern thought within the evangelical world has been demonstrated to be relatively incorrect. Not always. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to attribute any nefarious reasons for a lot of this stuff, but some of it is nefarious. There are certain things out there, for example, the prosperity gospel, that is twisting the gospel on its head to make it to where, hey, live your best life now. Jesus wanted you to be rich. It's like, no. That's exactly not the truth. Or Rick Warren over the weekend getting in trouble for saying that Jesus was a centrist, basically. Stuff like that. Those are the things that I like to debunk the most. It's not just going after, atheists or whatever, Hindus, Muslims. It's not just about going after other religions or non-religions. Really, I think that a lot of the discussion that I would love to have is talking about the misinformation within the church itself. Yeah, within churches, I shouldn't say the church, but within churches that are spreading the wrong ideas. I'm not one. Don't think I'll ever be, pastor-like. I'm not going to sit here. All right, turn your Bible to Ephesians 6:12, and well, actually, that's one. I happened to randomly pick one of the verses that I would actually talk about because that's one that does fall squarely in line with the stuff that I like to discuss. But you get the idea. All right, turn to John 3:16, and let's talk about it. No, I'm not going to be that guy. But I do want to talk about aspects of the Bible. Oh, excuse me. I need to get some oregano oil. I need to find aspects of the Bible, or not find, I need to discuss aspects of the Bible that are, oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to have to, you never want to sneeze or cough on air. It's not a good thing. Let's go ahead. Let's stop. That's Satan. Satan's making me sneeze as I'm talking about the Bible, putting particles in my nostrils or something. Drink through that. Ah, with that said, let me cut to this. Let me just cut to. I'm gonna go. Just shut up and cut to it. Just watch this, and I'll be back. President Trump demonstrates how the art of the deal works wonders, even in the Middle East. This is an area that, even during his first term, they were saying, President Trump, you can't get it done. There's no way you can get a peace deal done. It's not going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen. Of course, you got the Abraham Accords. Boom, 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 boom. Multiple countries signing it. Almost got Saudi Arabia in there, but at the last minute with the election, or the insertion of Joe Biden into the White House, that all crumbled. And we'll see what we can do going forward. But he got those deals done. Now it looks like he might be getting another deal done. And technically without his assistance, even though, again, we are talking about the art of the deal, for those who don't recall. Earlier this month, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, went to Washington, D.C., met with President Trump. They stood there during a press conference with Netanyahu off to his right, smirking. And everybody's like, why is he smirking as President Trump is unveiling his plan for Gaza? Now it appears we might know why. At the time, President Trump had said, hey, so it's not working out. And prior to that, by the way, he'd asked, hey, Jordan, hey, Egypt, why don't you guys take some of the refugees? They're like, no, sir, no, we cannot. And I can explain someday why that's the case, because believe it or not, Palestinians have been bouncing around from country to country to country for decades. And everywhere they go, they end up making a huge mess. Terrorists follow, and this is why Jordan won't let them back in. This is why Egypt won't let them back in. That's a discussion for another day. But let's get back to what's happening now. So President Trump said, hey, we're going to take over Gaza, okay? We're going to take the people that are living in Gaza. We're going to get them into like nice homes and communities somewhere else. Unspecified place. But they'll get jobs, they'll get food, it'll be nice. We'll move them elsewhere. Then we're going to level Gaza. We're going to get rid of all the bombs, the EIDs, the secret tunnels. We're just going to start from scratch. We're going to rebuild it, and it's going to become the Riviera of the Middle East. It'll be the nicest place you can go to in the region. And of course, everybody freaked out. Every single Democrat freaked out. The vast majority of world leaders freaked out. Even a good chunk of Republicans were like, oh, Mr. President, you can't do that. What are you can, Mr. President? And I would, to be clear, I don't want that either. I don't want Gaza. Give me a break. But at no point did I think, oh, we're really going to go take over Gaza. I understood and I recognized, even while Benjamin Netanyahu was smirking, I too was smirking, because I realized what President Trump was doing. He was basically telling these people in the area, right? People that have said so far all they've done throughout the war, before the war, during the ceasefire, all they've done up until President Trump made his announcement, all they did was say, Israel, don't do that. Hamas, don't do that. You guys work it out. They didn't want to lift a finger. They didn't want to spend a dime. They didn't want to take in not one refugee. But they did want the problem fixed. They just didn't want to have anything to do with fixing the problem. Well, apparently now, thanks to President Trump and his promise, as well as their own threat, it looks like they're going to at least try to take responsibility for this issue. According to Al Jamainer, Arab states to reveal 5-year plan to rebuild Gaza with no Hamas or relocation. Arab countries will unveil their plan for the reconstruction of Gaza on February 27th in Cairo. This initiative, developed by the Palestinians and handed over to the Egyptians for implementation, will be presented to the leaders of Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. Now, I want to be clear. So this wasn't developed by the Palestinians. I have a feeling, we'll get into it, but I have a feeling this may be an AI-written article, which that's fine. As long as it tells the facts, then, there's nothing wrong with, I'm wholeheartedly against AI, to be clear. in certain areas, but when it comes to writing the news, I'd actually prefer that in some cases, especially when it's just a news story, as long as the news is accurate. And that's not accurate. It wasn't the Palestinians that handed over this plan to the Egyptians. Weird. Back to the article, though, the plan provides for reconstruction over 3 to 5 years without the displacement of the Palestinian population and without Hamas control. The funding, estimated at several $100 million, will come from the Gulf countries. What? The work will be carried out by Egyptian companies, representing a significant source of income for Egypt, which is strongly opposed to the migration of Palestinians out of Gaza. The workforce will consist mainly of local Palestinians. So what I'm reading here so far is a win, 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 win. Awesome. According to the plan, or somebody with a source involved with the plan, they said the goal is to marginalize Hamas so that it understands that it has lost control of Gaza, and to completely eliminate the terrorist organization's grip on the population and the territory within 5 years from the start of reconstruction. An independent Palestinian administration, separate from the Palestinian Authority, but relying on it, will oversee the reconstruction. The power structure is designed to get the approval of Israel and the United States, who refuse direct management by the Palestinian Authority. We don't want the PA in there, okay? We don't want a boss. We don't want if they're going to be governed, it needs to be by them or by Israel or by the United States or even by Egypt. I don't care, and I don't think President Trump cares. Benjamin Netanyahu cares, but that's, we're not worried about what he's wanting. We want to make sure that it's just done and we don't have to get involved. Okay, so keep the Palestinian Authority out of it, obviously keep Hamas out of it, and we can take it from there. Arab countries fear a resurgence of fighting by Israel, which could, in their view, favor U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to move Palestinians to neighboring countries. The former U.S. president. See, this is definitely written by artificial intelligence, because they, for whatever reason, they use old data sometimes, and they're still referring to Trump as the former president. Yep, AI article here. There's certain things that, when you read enough articles, you can catch that. And again, hey, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. The current and amazing U.S. president, see there, I fixed it, said he wanted to see Jordan, Egypt, and other Arab countries welcome more displaced people from Gaza so that the war-torn area can be cleaned up. And again, as far as I'm concerned, I would be opposed to President Trump's plan if that was really his plan. But I do believe that all he wanted to do, was to take people in the Arab people, the Arab leaders who have said, do something. Well, why don't you do something? No. I mean, that's what they've done. They basically said, hey, this is a problem. Somebody needs to fix it, just not us. Well, President Trump says, okay, fine, I'll fix it. I'll build it into the Riviera of the Middle East. And then all of a sudden, they're like, no, never mind. We'll fix it. We'll take care of it. You stay out of it. We'll fix it. So without signing a document, without making a visit, without doing anything really other than make a speech with a crazy plan, all of a sudden the people who have a vested interest in peace in the region, the people who have a vested interest in eliminating Hamas and keeping the Palestinian Authority in check, in making sure that the Palestinian people stay where they are, those people who have the vested interest are going to invest the time, the money, the manpower, and the effort to get it done. This, my friends, is the art of the deal. There we go. Sorry. I was trying so hard to prevent myself from sneezing while you guys were watching that I had muted and forgot to unmute just there the last second. Thank you all so much for your patience. I'm trying to get all these stories up over at thelibertydaily.com, trying to run the show, trying to do so many things. But we cannot stop talking, or we need to start talking about DOGE. We got to figure out what's happening with the taxpayer dollars. So let's go ahead and cut into that story right off the bat. For those who don't know, this is it. I mean, this is the big one, at least the start to the big one. We've seen a lot of action from DOGE so far. This one to me is the most exciting. I mean, legitimately the most wow. This could actually be something that turns into a revelation or a series of revelations that we need. Da, 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 da. But before we get into that, just real quick, let me get caught up on the chats. Let me go ahead and turn that down. We'll get to that story in just one quick second. Don't forget to ask the Palestinians if they still think flying killer gliders into Israel is a good idea. Yeah, no, it's definitely not a good idea. True Pursuit says, I don't care what his motivations might be. Sending data crawlers into these antiquated systems to find fraud is only a threat to those who have been participants in that fraud. Absolutely. And for those who missed in the beginning, I did note that this is the narrative that they're trying to throw out there, right? They being the uniparty swamp, the globalist elite cabal, deep state. They're saying Elon's coming after you and your data. No, anybody who says that is terrified about what Elon Musk will discover when they look into their data. Where are they getting their money? Why is their cousin's car wash all of a sudden making millions of dollars a month? Why is whatever? I mean, so many possibilities. My gosh, it's a gigantic spider on my wall. Hopefully my wife, she's also the spider killer. Hopefully she is watching the show and will be heading to the studio any second to get rid of that spider that's currently on the wall over there. It's giant. It's like this big. I mean, it is huge. I wish I could turn the camera so you guys could see that. I don't know if I've ever seen a spider that big. Anyway, the two Truth Pursuits perspective, yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Look, you're not going to get me to 100% trust Elon Musk. I trust him 92, 93%. Okay, but what he's doing, keep going. I don't want to stand in his way. I will defend everything that he's done so far. And it seems as if there's very few things that he could do that I would not defend. Even if it means bad things can happen to America. You know, you might say, why would you defend that? Well, I don't want to go another day knowing or not knowing about the fraud that's taking place here in the United States. I want to get that squared away and understood as quickly as possible. I don't want to stick my head in the sand. I don't want America to stick its collective head in the sand. We need to know the truth. And it appears that Elon Musk is trying to deliver that truth. I'm going to start on this story, and if my nose gets too cranky, then I will have to cut to break. But let's go at least try to get this story in, and then I'll try to deal with the spider and deal with my nose. DOGE reveals $4.7 trillion of taxpayer money went into government black hole and is untraceable. And it's untraceable for a reason. I mean, it's not untraceable because they couldn't figure it out. It's untraceable because there are people in our government, outside of our government, in other people's governments, who look at the United States, they look at this massive, gargantuan, never seen before entity, and they realize they can profit off of it. They can gain power from it. They can get child sex trafficking through it. They can do so many evil things, and it's just gigantic enough to cover it all up. And you have President Trump and Elon Musk and other people. We don't want to just put them on the pedestal. There's other people that are involved that are trying to get all this stuff uncovered. Apologies for the sniffles. This is why it is all hands on deck to stop Elon Musk's DOGE team. On Monday, Elon Musk's DOGE revealed the federal government didn't trace $4.7 trillion in payments. $4.7 trillion in payments. So think about a big stack of money. Okay? $100 bills, y'all. And that big stack of money is $1 million. Now take that and get 1 million of those stacks. That's $1 trillion. $1 trillion, $1 million is a lot of money, to me at least. Maybe not to you, but to me, $1 million is a lot of money. $1 trillion is 1 million of those lots of money. I don't remember what the stats are. Some people have done various stats. Oh, that's like to put in perspective. I will do the math, and by tomorrow I'll figure out, because we ran this before, but to figure out how long it would take to pay off the national debt if we were paying, $1,000 a minute or whatever, for example. Those are always eye-opening because, unfortunately, based upon our very poor education system here in the United States, there's not a lot of difference in a lot of people's minds. I'm not talking about you all. I know you know the difference, but there's a lot of people out there, a lot of Americans, who you say 1 million, 1 billion, 1 trillion doesn't really equate as much different. It's all just a lot of money, but it's so different. I mean, 1 trillion is literally, don't get me started. Anyway, $4.7 trillion in payments were left blank, making it nearly impossible to trace, DOGE said. Here's a quote from DOGE on X. The Treasury Access Symbol, the TAS, is an identification code linking a Treasury payment to a budget line item, a standard financial process. In the federal government, the TAS field was optional for $4.7 trillion in payments and was often left blank, making traceability almost impossible. As of Saturday, this is now a required field, increasing insight into where money is actually going. Thanks to U.S. Treasury for the great work. So we're already seeing a benefit. What sort of benefit? We don't know. I mean, will this stop some of the money from going out? Yeah, I think so. People that were taking advantage of this, I think a lot of people were just it wasn't required, so why even spend the time? I mean, apologies up front if you're a government employee, but when I say this, but government employees have not tended to be the most willing to go above and beyond. And that's part of the problem here in the United States of America, is that our government employs people and sets expectations that are geared around non-exceptionalism. Okay? You do great. What happens? I mean, what happens? I'm not talking about the military. There are rewards for greatness in the military, but also like in the IRS and the USAID and wherever else, it's not really, you don't get rewarded for going above and beyond. So why fill out the box or the portion if you're not going to be forced to do that? Well, now DOGE is going to force people to do that. Trillions of dollars in taxpayer money went into a federal government black hole. Here's a tweet from Eric Daughtry. The government will audit you, track every single dollar that went into your bank account, and hunt you down to squeeze every last penny. But once once they get a hold of your money, they chuck it into a black hole of their choice with little to no accountability. Musk's DOGE has exposed trillions in waste in just a few weeks of Trump's second term. Last Wednesday, Real America's Voice White House reporter Brian Glenn asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the trillions in fraudulent Medicaid and Medicare payments that have been going overseas. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene held her DOGE subcommittee hearing earlier in the day and announced the group's findings. The subcommittee has found $2.7 trillion in improper and fraudulent government payments since forming their subcommittee. 2.7, again, trillion with a T dollars. Stop it. I mean, if 1%, to put in perspective, okay, let's go ahead and do a little bit of math. If 1% of that 4.7 or of that 2.7 trillion dollars was fraudulent, stolen, we're still talking about billions. Okay? That's what, $27 billion gone. Going into some bureaucrat's pocket, some politician's cousin's car wash, some foreign oligarch's bank account. And that's with 1%. What if it's 10%? What if it's 50%? This number came from a report late last year on government waste. According to News Nation, the federal government spent $2.7 trillion in payment errors since 2003. That number was discovered last year before DOGE launched an in-depth investigation. So here's information. It's not like, oh, DOGE had to come along and fix this, or else we never would have known. We've known. And what does DOGE do? What does Trump do? What do any of these things do? They bring common sense to the table. That's really, at the end of the day, what are we asking for? We're not asking for like massive sleuths or internet, data hackers, or the smartest, most brilliant, most amazing people in the world. We just want somebody to look at a very plain situation that's known and say, this is how we fix that. Or, hey, this millions, billions, and trillions is missing. Shouldn't we look for that? Because apparently, for decades, nobody's been asking these very simple, or making these very simple requests. Nobody's been asking these simple questions. Chuck Schumer, for example, has been in D.C. for thousands of years. Why is he now more concerned about somebody discovering the waste, discovering the fraud? He's more concerned about that than he's ever been concerned about the actual waste or fraud that's been going on for decades at least. The people that are screaming the hardest, the loudest, and I'm talking they're going to their podium, getting in front of their microphone, calling for all these crazy, outrageous things, talking about all this gigantic risk of the unelected billionaire Elon Musk. They're not worried about the people's money. They're not worried about the people's bank accounts. They're not worried about the people's social security numbers. They're worried that they're going to get caught. I cannot stress this enough. Everyone out there, every politician and bureaucrat and media personality and business official and whatever, every single one of them that is going crazy about what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing, all of them are terrified that they are going to get caught. Many of them have committed multiple sins, not just financial, not just as far as their power grabs. They have been the recipients of a system that has been allowed for decades to reward corruption. They've been the beneficiaries of a system that was designed to keep the people in the dark, to keep the people subjugated, and to keep the quote-unquote elites constantly fed. Fed more money, fed more power, fed more everything. This is the formula for tyranny. We've only been lucky enough, blessed enough, to have the Constitution and a handful of people willing to stand up and say no before the tyranny was allowed to spread. But now we have to prevent it because the tyranny has started to spread. We've seen that for the last 4 years. We've seen that before, during the Obama years. And so somebody, maybe President Trump and Elon Musk and other people within the administration, maybe they will be able to finally drain the swamp. Because draining the swamp is not just about making sure, there's these corrupt people out there. Let's get rid of them. They're so bad. They're making so much money or getting so much power or doing so much this or that. No. That's a fringe benefit. The real goal of draining the swamp is to take something that is very potentially disastrous. And when I say potentially, it's a matter of when, not if, making it to where the rise of tyranny here in the United States of America can be stopped before it fully starts. It's already started. We've seen it already. Now, hopefully, they'll be able to declaw, defang the swamp in a way that they don't want to see. The deep state has been setting it up for decades to be able to take full control of the United States of America. You think that's a conspiracy theory? Fine, it is. But only because, not because it's not true, but because we don't have the evidence. Well, now they're finding the evidence. That's what Elon Musk is doing. That's what Donald Trump is doing. That's what Kash Patel will do. Pam Bondi. That's what they're going to do. And that terrifies those who have been the beneficiaries of that for a long time. So when they sit there and say, "Oh, they're prying into your social security numbers, the people," no, they're not. They don't care about where Bob Smith is spending his money. They care about how many more people are like Bob Menendez. They care about going after the corrupt politicians, the people in power in government, in the bureaucracy, in business, in foreign affairs, whatever. That's who they're going after. So if you have any friends or relatives that are like, "Oh my gosh, we got to stop Elon Musk," explain to them, no, we need to stop the people who are trying to stop Elon Musk, because the people that are trying to stop Elon Musk are the people that are doing the most damage to the United States of America, and they have been for decades. I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to go to break. Darn it. I thought I could make it. Let's go to break anyway so I can go clear my nose and kill a spider. The infrastructure here in the United States of America is, how should we put it, challenged. It's old. I mean, it was probably good decades ago, but now it is showing signs of age. And as a result, many Americans would be in a great deal of trouble if there was bad weather or natural disaster or some sort of, God forbid, some sort of attack that would take out the power grid for an extended period of time. Unfortunately, the vast majority of Americans do not have any real backup. I mean, we'd be sitting there waiting for FEMA or the electric company or somebody to turn the power back on. I am a huge fan of solar. The challenge with solar, of course, is that it can get very expensive, usually thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars to get a good solar generator and system. I have found a good one that is inexpensive, and I mean relatively inexpensive. It's still hundreds of dollars, but at least it's not thousands or tens of thousands. And it's the one that I use. In anytime there's challenges. It's also portable, so even when we go out, throw it in the trunk or the back of the SUV and go camping, go do whatever. It's always good to have a nice portable solar generator with you at the time. For me, I am a huge fan of the Grid Doctor. Go to jdrucker.com/solar. jdrucker.com/solar. And check it out. I think we're on sale right now. Well, I don't want to say right now because it depends upon when you're watching this, but at least as of right this very second, there is a nice sale there. So go to jdrucker.com/solar and get you a Grid Doctor 300 today. Friends, I apologize greatly for this, but I'm going to have to curtail the show. I just cannot get my nose to stop sneezing. It's something I don't, there's no reason why I should be. I don't have allergies. But for whatever reason, I can't get over this whole desire to sneeze. So sadly, I don't want to put y'all through that. So I'm going to have to curtail the show. This really sucks. We just got started talking about this. Hopefully, I'll be able to get my face and everything else cleaned up and clear it out, find some oregano oil, and take it from there, because this is not good. Not good at all. I'm already my nose is getting stuffed up, which makes for horrible podcasting. So, apologies. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the prayers. In Jesus' name, get well. I will be praying for myself. I don't like to pray for myself. This is really, you get the idea. This is really a what's the word for it? I keep mentioning oregano oil as a sort of a side joke, because I was asking my wife today, Yeah, I've seen something, and anything that has to do with healthcare. She went to school for healthcare, and so anything that has to do with anything medical, it's just like, hey, I saw this on Twitter or X or whatever. Can you look into to oregano oil? They said that it's the first thing you should take if you ever have the sniffles, and I never get the sniffles, right? I don't have. I'm blessed to not have allergies unless there's a cat, which there are no cats ever allowed in my house. But unless there's a cat, I don't suffer from allergies, blah, 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 blah. I don't get sick very often. But apparently, so I asked my wife, I was like, hey, look into this oregano oil. And she started looking into it. And I said, yeah, they said that's the first thing you should take if you're starting to get a cold or something or whatever. She's like, okay, I'll look into it. Well, as fate would have it, or as God would have it, or as somebody would have it, I really do need to look into oregano oil. Who knows? Maybe there's something there. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know. Do you eat it? Do you, is it a capsule? I don't know. I know nothing about it. But it was a private joke because again, it's the thing that caught my attention is if you ever get the sniffles, first thing you should do is take oregano oil. Okay, well, I'll mark this off as a sign or something that maybe I really should look into oregano oil. We will talk about this topic more tomorrow. I'll probably record some tonight about it, and we'll take it from there. Lord willing, I will be back very soon with another episode. But in the meantime, you all stay strong, stay safe. God bless.